Become an ally. Rise above racism in healthcare.
This program is brought to you by Rogers Xfinity, connecting you to more of what you love. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Hello, and welcome to Her Story, the show to encourage more women to explore the possibility of using their skills and talents by participating in leadership roles within our community. I'm Tiffany James, and I have the pleasure of hosting this program. Her Story is here to encourage women in our community to actively engage and use their voice to bring attention to issues they are passionate about, with the hope that we will all get more involved. Please welcome my guest, Marion Koepke. Marion is a third-term City Councillor for the City of Owen Sound and retired City Clerk for the City of Owen Sound. Marion has lived in Owen Sound since 1967. She retired in 2010 after a 26-year career with the City of Owen Sound. She spent most of her time as Deputy Clerk, but was City Clerk for her final 4 years. You could say helping the citizens of Owen Sound has been a lifelong career for her. Welcome, Marion. I'm excited to hear your story.
Thank you so much for having me, Tiffany.
Oh, thank you so much for joining me. So can you tell me a little bit about your background and what made you pursue municipal government and get a work as a city clerk with the city?
Well, I'll begin with born in Kitchener, raised by a single mother, along with two brothers. One was 2 years older and one was 7 years younger. For a short period of our childhood, we lived in a group home setting of childcare, myself from the ages of 9 to 12, while my mother, who was recently divorced, was finding her way and developing a career with Red Cross Home Care. This was a time when I learned to appreciate family as I assisted with the childcare of my younger brother, and I learned to appreciate community groups who often entertained us and helped with material things that we needed. My mother later married again in 1962, and I gained more family as a number of children grew from what we had of 3 to 6. Wow. And I also gained a best friend, which is my stepsister.
Oh, Marion. Yeah. Wow.
I married my husband, Gord, in 1967, and we have 2 sons, Brian, and his wife, Kathleen, who live in Kingston, and David and his wife, Michelle, and their 2 children, Mackenzie and Devin, who live in London.
Oh my goodness. So what brought you to Owen Sound? And if you married in 1967, I'm assuming your husband brought you to Owen Sound?
That's right. He was born in Southampton, and I met him through a cousin of mine. And we married in 1967, and I moved to Owen Sound. And I honestly have to say I cried for the first week I was here, because I didn't know anyone. I didn't have a job. I had a really good job in Kitchener as a private secretary, but came to Owen Sound, didn't know anyone. And I just thought after a week, okay, this is enough. I have to get myself out there and find something. So I did.
And look at where you are now.
Yes,
Third-term city councillor for that
I've
city.
Come
That
a
made
long
you
way.
Yes. So can you tell me who were the main influences in your life? You mentioned a bit about your mom being a single mom. That must have been largely influential. And that was when did she remarry? How old were you?
Well, before I do that, I'd like to mention that I have a couple of other irons in the fire.
Oh, please. Yes.
I sit on a provincially appointed committee, which is the Justices of the Peace Appointment Advisory Committee. And we receive and review and interview applicants who want to become Justices of the Peace, and wherever there's vacancies in the Western region of Ontario. So I'm a part of a team of 8 people who go through this process.
Wow.
I'm also an election clerk who is the second in command for Elections Ontario with Bruce Grey Owen Sound riding. And I've done this for several terms, working with returning officer Linda Van Elst, who you know very well. Yeah. So on to the influencers. My mom, of course, but Glenn Henry, who was my department head when I worked with the city clerk's department and later as deputy clerk and clerk, was always supportive of my career goals, my initiatives, and he accepted my ideas and progressive moves in the division. I'm not one who can sit stagnant and do the same thing day after day after day. I like to come up with ideas to improve things, and I did that several times in the clerk's department, and he was certainly accepting of my ideas. So, and my other influencer is my husband, Gord, who's always supported my efforts to give back to my community and become involved in whatever I wanted to do, whether it be work-related or volunteering. And my children have always expressed how proud they are of me for putting myself out there. And both Anne Kelly, a former councillor, and Verona Jackson, wife of the former MP and Mayor of Owen Sound, Ovid Jackson, have both been mentors to me and very supportive also.
Wow, sounds like you have a really great group of people surrounding you, which is always really helpful.
Good support, yes.
Yeah, great support. Wow, that's amazing. Which one of those supporters were the one that nudged you to go for council?
It was Anne Kelly. Actually, my husband phoned Anne Kelly and said, "Can you call Marion and convince her to run for council? Because I think she'd be good, and because she's thorough and so on." So it was Anne.
Well, and it helped with your experience as city clerk as well.
Yeah,
there was a 4-year gap between your retiring and then running for the city, and what I learned in my research.
But I ran the municipal election for Owen Sound while I was retired.
Wow.
So the next time came around 2014, and they asked me to run the election again, and I had to decline because that's when I was going to run.
Decided to run for council. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And what have you learned from your 3 terms on city council, if you wouldn't mind sharing?
Well, gosh, I learned that one of the first things someone said to me when I was going to run for council is, well, 50% of the people will like you and 50% of the people won't, because you can't always please everyone. And that's definitely something that you find. Today is very, very different than when I started. It's a totally different mix of council, and you just can't, the issues now are so social that it's very difficult when you're working so closely with the county on trying to resolve social issues, that it's not the same as when I started, because we were not part of the county and then part of the county, and different things throughout my career too. So it's just different now, that you just can't, the issues are different.
Yeah, I guess that's with everything.
Yeah.
But you said you like a challenge. You like things different.
That's right. And I'm always kind of a grassroots person, thinking, okay, don't raise the taxes, don't raise the bag tags, don't raise the transit fares, things that people need, the essential services. And I just have always stuck with that.
Yeah, that's a good thing to put your hat on. Yeah, because especially with everything rising, you want to make sure that those nice things, especially transit, it's so important that people have that ability.
Although I did see when I was away, they did raise transit fares, so I wasn't here to support it. Sorry.
So could you tell me what changed the trajectory of your life? Was it that the job at the city? What changed was it moving to Owen Sound? What changed your progression?
I think my life totally changed when I got married and moved to Owen Sound. As I said, I was lost for a week, and I got myself out there. And my first job in Kitchener, of course, was a private secretary to a manager of a Westinghouse appliance distributor. And in Owen Sound, my first job was with York Trading as a clerical position, and moved to working with financial institutions, and then to Blackloss and Kennedy. When they closed, I was fortunate to know a few neighbors and another person who let me know there was a job available at City Hall in the planning department for maternity leave. So got into there, and that really turned me around and got me on a good career path. I took courses at Georgian College in municipal administration, and then worked my way up the ladder. So,
Wow.
and another influencer, I think, and trajectory is I met a good friend, Ann Woods. She introduced me to the Women's Institute, and I joined the North Grey branch. I've been a member there for 50 years. As I progressed into provincial positions with Women's Institute, it's always been an inspiration and helped me find my voice to be a leader and speak up for my rights as a human and for rights of our community. So that really helped as well.
Yeah. Was it once you got involved in the city, is that what sparked your interest, that you're like, hey, this is something I really love and I think I can make a difference? Is that when it happened?
Yes, basically, yeah.
Yeah. So what motivates you, Marion? What keeps you third term counselor? That you love it if you're gonna 3 terms. I'm not gonna ask about a fourth. I know there's an election coming up soon. I'm gonna leave that.
Yeah.
But 3 terms. So what motivates you?
Just being able to help people when I can, and if I can't help them, I try and find someone who can. So I have lots of people call and tell me their problems and issues, and I go to the sources and get an answer for them or try and resolve what's happening for them, and just doing the best I can for people. It's always been that way, even through my career with clerks, too.
Yeah.
So,
It is. There's nothing really more satisfying, I feel, when you can
very
help someone
rewarding.
make a difference. It is. It's
Yeah.
very rewarding. You're right. That was the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my next question is, what led you to a career led you to this career? But you've already sort of answered that for me. When you got to the city and you became really interested, what made you want to learn more to take those courses at Georgian College? What motivated you to educate yourself more?
Well, I just knew that there was an opportunity to progress in the clerk's department and had aspirations for being a deputy clerk someday, and just followed through with the courses and support from, of course, Glenn Henry, the clerk at the time, and just going from there because I knew I could make a good career out of it.
That's excellent. So, Marion, whose shoulders are you standing on? You said who were your main influences, but who
Well,
besides Glenn, I guess?
I think I'm standing on my mother's shoulders.
Oh.
She was always able to make ends meet. She was outgoing, very ambitious, and involved in her community, too. However, I like to think I'm standing on my own 2 feet, as things are not easy or handed to me as a child. But again, people in the community helped me, and for that, I just feel a commitment to give back and help others.
I love that. Your mom, you mentioned, was a single mom. How long were you how old were you when she remarried?
I was 13.
Oh, wow. So you were sort of the mini mom.
Yes. I was
And-
making meals at 12 years old.
Yes, I have that too, and I was as well, just because my mom had a career, so I was asked to help, which was fine. And I have 2 boys, so I feel a kindred spirit to you because I have 2 boys as well. And I expect with my 12-year-old boy what I had to do when I was 12, and he is like, "What do you mean I have to make dinner?" No, he's actually really good at that. But I thought that helped us, to have that skill at such a young age. I think it's just helped me, and that responsibility makes you grow, it makes you strong.
It does, and things just aren't handed to you. You have to earn them.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So how would you encourage someone looking to maybe run for council or start a career within city government and not sure how to do that? How would you encourage them to run for council if they think, like you ran for council when you retired? What if someone who is thinking now, oh, I might be too old, or I'm retired now, maybe I don't have it? How would you encourage them to tell them they can?
Well, I think for me, belonging to a Women's Institute group helped me find my voice and gave me the confidence I needed. But I think by joining a service club like that, and just finding out who you are and knowing that you can make a difference, doesn't matter how old you are, whether you're a man or a woman or what, and just having good people behind you that support you and kind of nudge you along.
What advice would you give someone who wanted to run for council?
I would advise them to certainly learn about the position, make sure that they're tough enough to handle it, because it's not always pleasant. And if they have an interest at all in being able to help, the big thing is helping your community and doing the best you can for your community. So just find your voice and find your courage and get some good people behind you.
Nice. So what would you say was the pivotal, or what did you learn about yourself on your journey? I don't think your journey's done, by the way. I'm not going to put that out. I'm just putting that out there. I think maybe a fourth term, but I'm not doing that. So can you tell me what you learned about yourself?
I learned that I'm stronger than I thought I was. I like to be involved. I like to be active. I'm not one to sit around and do nothing. I just have to be there and be in the moment. So.
Nice. Can you tell me something that piques your interest or an unexplored territory for you that you want to try?
Well, really, at this stage of my life, I just want to have more time to enjoy my family, travel, and explore what's right for me in retirement. So, I mean, people say to you, "Are you retired?" Well, I am, but I'm not. You know.
Yes.
I like to be involved, and I like to make a difference where I can.
Can you tell me a little bit about the planning for the 150th celebrations? I remember that when this, because you were on that committee. I think I had just come back to town, and I thought it, like, from university, and I thought it was just such a great celebration, and it just felt like the whole town was abuzz. And I had interviewed Jan Chamberlain, who was part of that committee as well. And can you tell me how, because it must have been daunting planning an event that size.
It was. There was lots of people involved, and Jan Chamberlain and I connected when I was with Community Foundation Grey Bruce as well. I was on the board there, and I actually still am an ambassador for them. They've done a lot for me, and I've done a lot for them. So, but it just seemed like everybody had great ideas, and everybody was so hyped up and eager to plan things. It just all fell together really well.
Oh, wow. Do you like doing things like that?
I do.
Yeah.
I do, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so can you tell me that a pivotal moment, something that has really inspired you, that made you just inspired you, something that just stuck with you?
Oh, gosh. I don't know if there was any particular pivotal moment, but working for the city and seeing all the progress that council was attempting to make made me want to be part of the decision-making process and help where possible. When I was deputy clerk and clerk, of course, I sat at the table taking minutes and you had to keep your mouth shut. So now I'm on the other side and I can speak actually for a time. So that's the big difference, I guess, being able to speak on the issues as opposed to just recording what the issues were. But I'm just a meetings person. I've always gone to meetings all my life and taken on positions of recording and president and, chairing the meetings and so on. It's just something I've always done.
Is there a special kindred committee that you really enjoy, or do you not want to say that?
I really enjoy community services because they serve so many of the grassroots issues with the city, being recreation, planning, parks, things like that are there for the people.
Nice.
I think that's one that I really enjoyed. I've served on police services, and I think I've served on them all, even the small ad hoc committees. But I don't know. That seems to be one that I really enjoy. Yeah.
What do you find are the three most common issues that your constituents will bring up to you?
concerns of things that are like the roads, for instance, is one. The condition of the roads. Recently, it's been people camping where they on public grounds, and one issue of down by the elevators, someone was. This is a place where these people local people usually fish, and people had occupied that area that were camping after the fishing derby and told these local people they weren't allowed to fish there because that was their spot. So that was an issue that certainly had to be fixed. I don't know, just garbage collection, transit,
What is one thing you would like? I think there's one more term, 1 more year, I think, for this term. Two more years? 2 more years? Is there something you really want to see accomplished within those 2 terms, or something you're passionate about to see happen? Just progress moving forward?
Yeah, just keeping things at a reasonable rate, affordable rate for the taxpayer, and keeping the city cleaned up and doing what we can, basically. We're a group of 9, so we have to work together.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
A lot of times, Marion, we find young women particularly don't want to get involved in leadership roles at all, or find it hard. Is there any advice you would give them to encourage them to get involved?
Well, I learned that being a woman in a political position is not always easy and rewarding, but when it is, there's truly no better feeling. Although times are changing, and I'm not at the council table as a woman, or I'm there as a councillor, and I consider all men and women around that table to be equal people. I learned that we need to listen to people and their concerns. We need to help where possible, and if you can't help, you need to find them or direct them to someone who can help. So basically, that's for a woman. I don't know if we're nearing the end of the time or not, but I do have some words of wisdom.
I would love to hear your words of wisdom, please.
Right. My words of wisdom come from Agnes MacPhail, who was born in Owen Sound and who was the first and only woman to be elected to Parliament in 1921. She served as an MP for Grey South East until she was defeated in 1940. She was one of the first 2 women elected to the Ontario legislature, and also the first female of a Canadian delegation to the League of Nations. MacPhail is one of the pillars of the Women's Institute, and her historic election paved the way for women's participation in politics in Canada. This quote from Agnes MacPhail says it all for me. I want for myself what I want for other women, absolute equality.
I love that. I love that. You can find Agnes MacPhail's plaque, or her little, is just outside Chatsworth, right?
That's right.
Yes. Yeah. I think. Yeah. There's so much history in our area, and I love it so much. And it's. I always actually do little quotes at the end as well. So I think you've summed it up for me there, Marion, and I don't need to do my little quote. But if there's anything you want to share to let people know the importance of getting involved in the community and why we should all do it?
Well, I think to be able to find your voice, I suggest joining an organization or service club, growing with that organization, and taking on some responsibilities. It will help you find your voice, give you courage, give you confidence, and from there, get some good people behind you that support your ideas, and just go from there.
Yeah. What are you looking forward to in the future? Spending time most with your grandkids?
Well, my granddaughter just turned 18 yesterday.
Wow.
And my grandson's 14, and they're in London. So we do whatever we can with them. But she's off to university now, going to be a teacher, she hopes. So,
Nice.
as they get older, you don't see them as often as you want to. But I'll still be involved in my community in one way or another.
Nice. I
Always.
love that. I love that. Well, we are almost rounding up our time, Marion. I think we just have a few minutes left. I want to thank you for everything that you've done within the community in your years of service. I think that it's not not to shake a stick at, and it's very impressive. And it's always nice to see a strong female voice, especially at the table when they're not mostly there. So thank you for being that representation. Is there something you would like to share and let everybody know that you are excited about in the future? Maybe a fourth run? No, I'm not. I'm kidding.
I won't share anything at this point. But I do want to thank you very much for having me today and letting me share my story. I've in the past had a little blurb in with Grey Roots when they had some influencing women's stories there, and just never in my life thought when I was younger I'd reach this point. So
it's always encouraging, and it's encouraging to see you. And I'm a nerd, and I like watching City Council, so I enjoy seeing you and hearing what you have to say. So thank you so much for everything you do for our community. I am going to end the program with a quote that reminds me of you, because I like to do that, and it's from the great Dolly Parton. If your actions create a legacy that inspires others to dream more, learn more, or do more, and become more, then you are an excellent leader. And Marion, I think you do those things. So thank you so much. You are an excellent leader.
well, thank you.
I've had such a pleasure learning about you today. I was born in Cambridge, so we're kindred spirits there. And when we moved up to Owen Sound, my mom cried for a week too. So don't you worry. Thank you so much, Marion, for joining me today on Her Story.
My pleasure.
There you go.
Connect with us by visiting our website or email us at comments@rogerstv.com.
On Rogers TV.
It's closing time, and you stayed out longer than you planned. So now you can't drive, and the buses have stopped running. You could always call your